You are not late, you are becoming. Learn English through the power of patience. Motivational graded reader. Welcome back. Today, I want you to picture something with me. Somewhere in Asia, a farmer plants a small seed in the ground. He waters it every single day. Nothing happens. No leaf. No stem. Nothing. He waters it again on day 2. Still nothing. Day 100. Still nothing. His neighbors walk past and laugh at him. They say, "That seed is dead. You are wasting your time. Plant something else." But the farmer doesn't stop. He keeps watering that empty patch of dirt for 5 years. 5 years. And then, on one single day, something happens. In just 6 weeks, that plant grows 90 feet into the sky. 90 feet in 6 weeks. This is a real plant. It's called Chinese bamboo. And here's the question I want you to sit with today. During those 5 years, was the bamboo doing nothing? No. It was building roots. Deep roots. Silent roots. Roots strong enough to hold 90 feet of height without breaking. The world only saw 6 weeks of growth. But the truth was 5 years of patient, quiet, invisible work. Maybe that's you right now. You've been studying English every day. You've been working on your dream, your body, your business, your future. And nothing seems to be happening. No proof. No result you can show anyone. And the people around you, maybe even people you love, look at you and say, "Give up. It's not working. Try something else." Listen to me carefully today. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are growing roots. And roots don't show. Roots don't get applause. But roots are the only reason a tree can survive a storm. In this video, I'm going to give you 19 lessons. 19 lessons about a different kind of strength. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that screams for 3 weeks and then burns out. Quiet strength. Patient strength. The kind that keeps watering an empty patch of dirt because it trusts what it cannot yet see. And while you learn these lessons, you're also going to sharpen your English, because every idea here is spoken in clear, simple language, made for you to listen, repeat, and grow. If this kind of video helps you, subscribe to this channel right now because we bring you real lessons for real growth, in English you can actually understand and use. Now let's water our roots. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Small steps beat big talk. Everyone loves to talk about their big dream. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to speak fluent English. I'm going to change my whole life. Big words. Big plans. But here's a truth nobody tells you. Big talk feels good for about 5 minutes, and then it disappears because talking uses the same energy that doing needs. You get excited, you tell everyone your plan, your brain feels like you already did something, and slowly the fire goes out before you even start. The people who actually change their lives don't talk about the mountain. They talk about the next step. Just the next step. Not the whole staircase. One stair. Then the next one. Example. Imagine 2 students learning English. The first one announces online, "I'm going to become completely fluent this year," feels proud for a moment, and then does nothing for 2 weeks because the goal feels too big and too far away. The second student says nothing to anyone. She learns 5 new words today. Tomorrow she watches 1 video and writes 3 sentences. The next day she speaks for 2 minutes in front of her mirror. No announcement, no big plan, just small, steady steps. 1 year later, who is speaking fluent English? Not the one who talked about the mountain. The one who climbed 1 stair at a time. Solution. Stop announcing your big dream every single day. Instead, ask yourself this question every morning. What is the one small step I can take today? Then take it. Just one. Learn 1 page. Speak for 5 minutes. Write 1 paragraph. Small steps feel boring. Small steps feel too easy. But small steps, repeated for months, become something huge. The mountain doesn't care about your announcement. It only respects your footsteps. Lesson 2. Silence is your secret weapon. We live in a world where everyone shows everything. Every goal, every plan, every diet, every dream, posted online for likes and comments. But let me tell you something that took me years to understand. Talking about your goal can trick your brain into feeling like you already achieved it. You feel the pride, the attention, the compliments, and your brain relaxes because to your brain, Being seen as successful feels almost the same as being successful. So the drive quietly disappears, and the real work never gets done. Example: think of two people who both decide to start a small business. The first one tells everyone, posts updates every day, answers questions like an expert, enjoys the attention. 3 months later, there is no product, no customers, only talk. The second person tells almost no one. She works quietly on the weekends, fixes her mistakes alone, learns from her failures without an audience watching. A year later, she opens her doors, and her business is real, tested, and strong. The silent one built something. The loud one built an image. Solution: choose one goal this month and tell no one about it except the people who are actually helping you. Let your results speak instead of your announcements. When you feel the urge to post about your plan, redirect that energy into doing one more page, one more rep, one more sentence. Protect your fire. Some fires only survive in the dark, away from the wind of other people's opinions. Lesson 3. Patience is a weapon, not a weakness. Our world trains us to expect everything instantly. Instant messages, instant videos, instant food, instant answers. So when growth takes time, and it always does, we feel like something is wrong with us. But patience isn't the opposite of ambition. Patience is ambition with a plan. Patience is fire under control instead of fire that burns out in one night. Example: think about the Colorado River. It didn't force its way through solid rock in one violent day. It flowed quietly, consistently, for millions of years. And today, that patient, steady flow created the Grand Canyon, one of the most powerful natural wonders on this planet. No explosion built that canyon. Time did. Repetition did. Consistency did. Solution: stop measuring your progress every single day like it's a race with a finish line tomorrow. Measure it every season instead. Every 3 months, look back and ask, where was I? And where am I now? You will be shocked at how far quiet, steady effort can carry you. Patience is not doing nothing. Patience is doing the right small thing again and again, while everyone else is looking for a shortcut that doesn't exist. Lesson 4. Your habits build your identity. Most people set goals based on outcomes. I want to read 50 books. I want to speak perfect English by December. And when the outcome feels far away, motivation dies. But there's a stronger way to think. Instead of chasing an outcome, become a certain kind of person. Because once something becomes part of who you are, you don't need motivation to do it. You just do it the same way you brush your teeth without needing inspiration. Example: picture two people who want to become readers. The first sets a goal, 50 books this year. By March, she's behind schedule, feels like a failure, and quits completely. The second person makes a simple decision. I am someone who reads before bed. No number, no pressure, just an identity. She reads 10 pages a night, sometimes more, sometimes less. She never quits because she isn't chasing a finish line. She's simply being who she decided to be. By the end of the year, she has read more books than the first person ever will. Solution: instead of writing, I want to learn English fluently, write, I am someone who practices English every day. Say it to yourself like a fact, not a wish. Then act like that person would act today in small ways. Your habits are votes for the person you're becoming. Cast the right vote today. Lesson 5. Rest is not the enemy of ambition. There's a dangerous idea floating around that rest is for weak people and that real winners never stop. This idea has burned out more dreams than laziness ever did. Your mind and body are not machines. They are more like fields. And a field that is never allowed to rest eventually stops producing anything at all. Example: think of two athletes preparing for the same competition. The first one trains every single day without a break, pushing through pain, ignoring exhaustion, proud of never resting. 2 months before the competition, his body breaks down with an injury, and he cannot compete at all. The second athlete trains hard, but she also protects her rest days like appointments she cannot miss. Her body recovers, her mind stays sharp, and on competition day, she performs at her absolute best. The one who rested wisely outlasted the one who refused to stop. Solution: schedule rest the same way you schedule work. Not as something you feel guilty about, but as a tool that makes your effort sustainable. One full day of true rest each week isn't weakness. It's maintenance. Even the ground needs a season where nothing is planted, so it can be ready to grow again. Lesson 6. Fail forward, not backward. Failure feels personal. It feels like proof that you're not good enough. But failure is not a judgment on who you are. Failure is information. It's simply your plan telling you, not this way, try another way. The people who grow the fastest are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail and immediately ask, what did this teach me? Instead of, why does this always happen to me? Example: before creating a working light bulb, the inventor Thomas Edison went through thousands of failed attempts. He didn't treat each failed attempt as proof that he was a failure. He treated each one as a piece of information, one more way that didn't work, bringing him closer to the way that would. He kept adjusting, kept testing, and eventually the light came on quite literally and changed the world. Solution: after every failure, big or small, write down 2 things: what actually happened and what you will try differently next time. Do not write down insults to yourself. Facts only. This simple habit turns every failure into fuel instead of a wound. Fail forward, and every fall becomes a step, not a stop. Lesson 7. Protect your energy like it's your money. You wouldn't hand your entire savings account to a stranger who wastes it carelessly. Yet many people give away their energy all day long, to endless notifications, to draining conversations, to people who only bring complaints and negativity, to habits that leave them tired and empty. And then they wonder why they have nothing left for their own dreams at the end of the day. Example: think of 2 co-workers. The first one says yes to every request, every extra task, every gossip conversation by the coffee machine, every late-night message. By evening, she is exhausted, and her own goals get 0 minutes of attention. The second coworker is kind, but careful. She protects her mornings for her most important work. She limits draining conversations, and she says no without guilt when something doesn't serve her purpose. She goes home tired from good work, not empty from other people's chaos, and she still has energy left to grow. Solution: make a short list this week of what drains you and what fuels you, people included. Then start protecting your best hours, usually your morning energy, for your own most important goal, before you give it away to everyone else's requests. Energy is not unlimited. Spend it like it matters, because it does. Lesson 8. Master 1 thing before chasing 10. New goals feel exciting. Learning English, learning guitar, starting the gym, starting a side business, all at once, all this month. But splitting your energy into 10 directions means every single one grows slowly, or not at all. Depth beats width. A river that stays narrow cuts through rock. A river that spreads too wide becomes a shallow puddle that dries up in the sun. Example: picture a young man who tries to learn English, coding, and guitar all in the same 3 months. He studies each one for 20 minutes a day, feels busy, feels productive, and after a year, he is still a beginner at all 3. Now picture another young man who chooses one priority: English. He gives it real, focused time for 1 full year, and becomes genuinely confident and fluent. Only then does he add his next skill, already strong in the first. 1 year later, the difference between them is enormous. Solution: choose one priority for the next 90 days. Just one. Give the others small maintenance only, or pause them completely. Depth in one area will always beat shallow effort spread across 10. Master 1 thing, then let that mastery open the door to the next. Lesson 9. Your environment writes your story. You can have the strongest willpower in the world, and it will still lose again and again to a bad environment. If your kitchen is full of junk food, you will eat junk food, no matter how many promises you made to yourself last night. If your friend group mocks your goals will slowly shrink to fit their comfort, not yours. Environment doesn't ask for your permission. It simply shapes your daily choices before you even notice. Example: think of 2 people trying to build a habit of reading every night. The first keeps their phone charging beside the bed, notifications on, book buried somewhere in a drawer. Every night, the phone wins. The second person charges their phone in another room and places their book directly on the pillow, so it's the only thing there to pick up. The second person didn't need more willpower. They simply designed their environment so the good choice became the easy choice. Solution: look honestly at your surroundings, physical, digital, and social. Remove one obstacle that blocks your goal and add one trigger that supports it this week. Redesign your space so your future self, not your tired, tempted self, is the one making the daily decisions. Lesson 10. Gratitude is fuel, not decoration. Many people treat gratitude like a soft, nice-sounding idea, something you write in a journal to feel calm for 5 minutes. But real gratitude is not decoration. It's fuel. Because the version of you who only sees what's missing burns out fast, resentful and tired. But the version of you who honestly sees how far you've already come keeps a steady fire that lasts for years. Example: imagine two learners at the exact same level of English. The first only sees the mistakes, the words she still can't remember, the sentences she still gets wrong, and every study session feels like punishment. She quits within 2 months. The second learner keeps a short note of small wins. Today I understood a full conversation. Today I used a new word correctly. While still working hard to improve. Her effort feels different, lighter, sustainable because she can actually see her own progress. 1 year later, she is still learning, still growing, still going. Solution: each night, write down one specific thing you did well today, connected to your goal, not just general things you're thankful for. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about fueling tomorrow's effort with proof that yesterday's effort mattered. Lesson 11. Show up even when no one is clapping. The real question that decides your future is simple. Who are you when nobody is watching? Many of the greatest athletes in history built their skill in empty gyms, hours before sunrise, with no crowd, no cameras, no applause. The applause came later as a result, never as the reason they showed up in the first place. Example: picture two people practicing public speaking. The first only practices when there's an audience to impress, and freezes completely the moment real pressure arrives, because they never trained the actual skill, only the performance. The second person practices alone in their room, speaking to an empty chair, recording their voice, correcting their own mistakes, night after night with no one watching. When the real moment finally comes, she is calm, because she has already done this 1,000 times before in silence. Solution: build one private ritual this week that nobody else will ever see. Practicing your English out loud alone. Writing pages nobody will read. Training when there's no reward waiting. What you build in private becomes the strength you show in public. Discipline is simply what you choose to do when there's no audience to perform for. Lesson 12. Turn envy into a mirror. Envy feels ugly, and most people are ashamed of feeling it, so they hide it or attack the person they envy instead. But envy, looked at honestly, is one of the most useful emotions you have. It's not random. You don't feel envious of things you don't actually want. Envy is your own heart pointing directly at your true desire, even when your mind hasn't fully admitted it yet. Example: imagine you see someone your age speaking fluent English confidently in a video, and a sharp, uncomfortable feeling rises in your chest. If you turn that feeling into bitterness, muttering that they got lucky or had special help, that feeling destroys you slowly from the inside. But if you turn that same feeling into information, asking yourself honestly, what exactly about this do I want for myself? That envy becomes a map pointing straight at your own next goal. Solution: next time you feel envious, don't push it away and don't attack the other person in your mind. Write down exactly what you envy in specific detail. Then write down one small action you can take this week toward that exact thing. Envy handled with honesty stops being poison. It becomes direction. Lesson 13. Build your identity before your income. Many people chase money directly, jumping from trend to trend, hoping the next shortcut finally pays off. But money built on shortcuts disappears as quickly as it arrived. There's a stronger, slower path. Build a real identity first, become a genuinely skilled English speaker, become a genuinely reliable worker, become a genuinely valuable person to know, and let opportunity follow that identity because it always does eventually. Example: think of two people trying to earn money online. The first jumps between every new trend every single month, chasing quick results, never becoming excellent at anything, and a year later has almost nothing to show for it. The second person spends that same year quietly building one real skill, until people naturally start asking for her help, referring her to others, trusting her name. She didn't chase money. She built value, and the money eventually chased her. Solution: ask yourself honestly, am I chasing quick results, or am I building something real? Choose one skill connected to your goal, and commit to becoming genuinely excellent at it, not just quickly good enough. Identity is a foundation. Income built on top of a real foundation lasts. Income built on sand does not. Lesson 14. The 1% rule. Big transformation doesn't usually arrive as one dramatic moment. It arrives as 1,000 tiny improvements, so small you can barely notice them day to day, stacking silently on top of each other. Here's the math behind it. If you improve just 1% every single day, by the end of 1 year, you are not 1% better. You are roughly 37 times better than where you started. That's the quiet, hidden power of compounding. Example: imagine two English learners again one final time. The first waits for one huge breakthrough moment, a perfect course, a perfect method, a perfect burst of motivation, and while waiting, nothing actually improves. The second learner focuses only on today's 1%, one better sentence than yesterday, one new word remembered, one small correction understood and fixed. Neither day looks impressive alone. But stacked across months, the second learner's small, boring 1% becomes something the first learner can only watch from a distance. Solution: stop searching for the one dramatic leap that will fix everything overnight. Ask yourself daily, what is my 1% today? Then do exactly that, and nothing more is required of you right now. Trust the stacking. The mathematics of small, consistent improvement is quietly on your side, even on days it doesn't feel like progress at all. Lesson 15. Boredom is the price of mastery. Most people believe they quit things because those things are too hard. Usually, that's not the real reason. They quit because those things become boring, once the exciting beginning fades and the slow, repetitive middle arrives. There is a quiet stretch between "this is new and exciting" and "I am actually skilled," and almost everyone gives up somewhere inside that stretch, mistaking boredom for a sign that something is wrong. Example: think of two people learning piano. The first practices with great excitement for 2 weeks, loves the feeling of being a beginner, and then quits the moment scales and repetition start to feel dull, deciding, I guess this isn't for me. The second person expects the boring middle before it even arrives. When the repetition comes, the slow drills, the same corrections again and again, she doesn't panic. She simply keeps going, sometimes adding small variety, a new song, a small challenge, to make the repetition bearable. Months later, she plays with real skill. The joy on the other side of boredom is far deeper than the joy at the beginning ever was, but only the ones who stay long enough ever feel it. Solution: when your practice starts to feel boring, don't take that as proof to quit. Take it as proof you're in the middle, exactly where mastery is built. Add small variety to keep it bearable, a new topic, a small challenge, a different order, but keep the core practice steady. Boredom is not the wall stopping you. It's the toll you pay to walk through the door on the other side. Lesson 16. Ask for help without shame. There's a quiet myth that strong people do everything alone, that asking for help means you've somehow failed. This myth has slowed down more good people than almost any other single idea. The truth is the opposite. The people who grow the fastest are usually the ones humble enough to say, I don't know this yet, please show me, instead of wasting months solving a problem that someone else already solved years ago. Example: picture two people starting small businesses at the same time. The first refuses to ask anyone for guidance, determined to figure everything out alone, and spends 8 months repeating mistakes that a 5-minute conversation could have prevented. The second person finds someone who has already done what she wants to do and asks specific, honest questions. She still does the real work herself, but she avoids the mistakes that don't need to be repeated. A year later, she is far ahead, not because she was smarter, but because she was humble enough to ask. Solution: Find one person or one community who has already achieved what you are working toward. This week, ask them one specific, honest question. Not, how do I succeed? Which is too big, but something small and exact, like, what would you do differently if you started again today? Independence is not proof of strength. Knowing when to ask is. Lesson 17. Write your future in the present tense. The words you repeat to yourself quietly shape the person you become, whether you notice it happening or not. Most people describe themselves with old, tired labels. I'm just not good at English. I'm not a confident person. And their mind, always listening, works hard to keep that description true. But there's a simple practice that gently rewrites the story, writing a short line each morning, in the present tense, describing the person you are choosing to build today, paired immediately with one small action that matches those words. Example: think of someone terrified of speaking English out loud. Each morning, she writes one sentence. Today I speak slowly and clearly, even if I make mistakes. At first, the words feel like a lie, uncomfortable, forced. But she pairs the sentence with one small action each day, one voice message, one sentence spoken aloud to a stranger online, one short conversation. Months later, the sentence isn't a hopeful lie anymore. It's simply true. The words didn't work by magic. They worked because they were followed every single day by real action. Solution: each morning, write one sentence in the present tense describing today's version of the person you're building, and then take one small action that matches it before the day ends. Not empty positive thinking alone, thinking paired with proof. Words plant the direction. Action grows the root. Lesson 18. Celebrate quietly, then keep going. There are two ways people damage their own progress around a win. The first way is never celebrating anything, always moving the goal further away the moment it's reached, until the whole journey feels heavy and joyless. The second way is celebrating too hard, throwing away the entire routine for 2 weeks to enjoy one win, and losing the momentum that took months to build. The strongest path sits quietly between the two. Example: imagine someone who finally holds their first full conversation in English without translating in their head. The first version of this person is so excited that she abandons her daily practice for 2 weeks to enjoy the feeling, and when she returns, she has to rebuild momentum almost from the start. The second version marks the moment with something small and personal: a quiet walk, her favorite drink, one message to a friend who supported her, and returns to her practice the very next day, carrying the win forward instead of resting on top of it. Solution: choose one small, personal ritual now, before your next win arrives. Something that costs you almost nothing but genuinely feels like recognition. Use it every time you reach a milestone. Let it mark the moment, without ever replacing the next day's work. Quiet celebration keeps the fire lit instead of using it all up in one bright, short burst. Lesson 19. Discipline is self-respect in action. Every time you say you'll do something and then you do it, even something small, you're sending your own mind a quiet message. I can trust myself. Every time you say you'll do something and then don't, you're sending the opposite message, even if nobody else ever finds out. Over months and years, that private pattern becomes your actual self-respect, or the lack of it, far more than anything anyone else says about you. Example: think of two people who both promise themselves they'll practice English for 15 minutes every morning. The first one breaks that promise almost every day, always with a reasonable excuse: tired, busy, tomorrow. Nobody else notices, but somewhere inside her, a quiet voice starts believing, my own promises don't really mean anything. The second person keeps the promise, even on the mornings she doesn't feel like it, even if it's just 5 honest minutes instead of 15. Nobody applauds her for it either. But somewhere inside her, a different quiet voice grows stronger. When I say I'll do something, I do it. That inner voice becomes the foundation everything else is built on. Solution: choose one small promise to yourself this week. Something so small you have no real excuse to break it. Keep it exactly even on the hard days. Then choose another. Discipline isn't about huge, dramatic willpower. It's about small, kept promises, stacking quietly into a person you can actually rely on. And that person, the one you can rely on, is the one who eventually gets to stand 90 feet tall. You've just learned 19 lessons about a kind of strength most people never talk about. Not the loud kind, the patient kind. The kind that keeps showing up, keeps watering the ground, keeps improving by 1%, long after the excitement of day one has faded away. Now let me speak to you directly one more time before you go. Maybe you're watching this and you feel invisible right now. You've been trying for months, maybe years. You study English and still stumble over your words. You work toward your goal and still don't see the result you were promised. You look at your life and it looks the same as it did last year, and some quiet, tired voice inside you whispers, maybe this isn't working. Maybe you're not built for this. I want you to hear something clearly. That voice is lying to you. You are not the seed that failed to grow. You are the bamboo, 5 years into your roots, and you simply haven't reached week 6 yet. Nobody claps for roots. Nobody takes a picture of the quiet, unglamorous work happening underground, the extra page you read, the sentence you practiced alone in your room, the rest you gave yourself instead of burning out, the envy you turned into direction instead of poison, the 1% you added today that nobody else even noticed. But every single one of those quiet choices is a root. And roots don't disappear just because no one is watching them grow. There will be people around you who don't understand what you're building. They'll ask why you're still trying. They'll suggest you give up and choose something easier. Let them speak. They are not standing where you are standing, and they cannot see what you are quietly becoming. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to keep watering the ground. And maybe the hardest voice to quiet isn't theirs. Maybe it's yours, late at night, when the day is over and the results still haven't come. That voice will try to convince you that patience is just a nicer word for giving up slowly. It isn't. Giving up means you stop watering the ground completely. Patience means you keep watering it, even without proof, even without applause, because somewhere underneath the silence, something is still growing. The farmer never dug up his seed to check on it. If he had, he would have killed it. Some things only grow when you trust them enough to leave them alone and simply keep showing up. So here's what I want you to do the moment this video ends. Not next week, not when you feel ready, today. Choose one lesson from everything you just heard, the one that hit you the hardest, and take one small action connected to it right now. 5 minutes is enough. You don't need the whole staircase today. You only need the next step. Your 6 weeks are coming. You cannot see them yet, and that's exactly the point. Keep your roots growing in the quiet, keep your patience steady, keep your 1% honest, and one day, not too far from now, you will rise so fast and so strong that people will look at you and think it happened overnight. Only you will know the truth. You were becoming this the entire time. Thank you for watching and for practicing your English with me today. If these words reached you, subscribe and come back for the next lesson. Keep watering your roots. Keep becoming. I'll see you soon.